The federal government reports the authorities are still holding 66 children whose parents are, quote, not eligible for reunification or available for discharge. One child is less than 5 years old. The parents of 50 of the children have been deported from the United States.
Tech pioneer Paul Allen is being remembered today as the innovative co-founder of Microsoft and as a generous philanthropist. Allen died yesterday from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. He was just 65 years old. In a statement, Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates called Allen a true partner and dear friend. He says that personal computing would not have existed without him. Vladimir Dudy of our streaming network CBSN looks at Allen's varied interest and very powerful legacy. Vlad, good morning.
Good morning. Paul Allen was much more than a titan in the tech world. He owned 3 professional sports teams and gave more than $1 billion to charity while investing in ocean, space, and alternative power research. He said those fortunate enough to have great wealth should use it for the good of humanity.
Paul Allen was a visionary in the world of high tech. As co-founder of Microsoft, Allen became one of the richest men on Earth, with a net worth once estimated at $40 billion. It was a company that he and Bill Gates envisioned when they were both young teenagers, as Allen told Leslie Stahl in an interview for 60 Minutes in 2011.
He was saying, well, imagine what it's like to run a Fortune 500 company. And I'm thinking, I have no idea. You know, my parents were librarians.
Allen's breakthrough idea in 1974 was to write software for another company's small computer. That led to the home computer revolution and the birth of Microsoft. After a falling out with Gates, Allen left Microsoft at the age of 30, after he was first diagnosed with cancer. Allen wrote that facing his own mortality forced him to reassess his life and follow other dreams.
I've got such a diverse set of interests: movies, aviation, technology.
An avid sports fan, Allen bought both the Portland Trail Blazers and his hometown Seattle Seahawks and watched them win their first Super Bowl in 2014. In a statement, Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll says, "The world is a better place because of Paul's passion, commitment, and selflessness." In recent years, Allen's company, Vulcan, oversaw his numerous cultural projects in Seattle, including a museum inspired by his passion for music, as well as his philanthropic efforts around the world.
In wildlife conservation, oceans health, climate change, infectious diseases. It was one of the great joys of working with Paul is that breadth and diversity of how many things he wanted to have an impact on and how big he thought about impact.
Allen was treated for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2009. He announced just 2 weeks ago that it had returned. Apple CEO Tim Cook says our industry has lost a pioneer and our world has lost a force for good. In addition to, the things that we've talked about with personal computing, he recently funded a $46 million building for homeless people in South Seattle.
Force for good is a very good way to describe him. Yeah. He really, really loved life and left a lot of us really missing what he has done.
Where would we be without the mouse?
Yeah.
I know.
The mouse.
I know. It's
just that.
So
That's
much.
right. Yeah, he was something else.
Thanks, Vlad. A desperate search for a missing 13-year-old girl in Wisconsin is intensifying this morning. Ahead, why investigators fear the teenager is in danger after her parents were found dead. But first, it is 7:19. Time to check your local weather.
Hi, everybody. A cooler day than yesterday. Temperatures are going to be in the mid to upper 50s under bright golden sunshine. I know we're starting off with a little bit of cloud coverage out there, but that cloud coverage will make a departure, and we will be left with breezy conditions and mostly sunny skies. The sun is up at 7:04. Sun sets at 6:08. Tomorrow, just a sprinkle or maybe a brief shower in the afternoon, and then the temperatures really take a nosedive. 48 for the high on Thursday, but rebound nicely for Friday. Chance for showers on Saturday afternoon. Sunday looks good. Have a great day, everyone.
You see the sign.
When I needed to jumpstart sales.
Build attendance for an event. Help people find their way. Fast Signs designed new directional signage and got them back on track. Get started at fastsigns.com.
Want to take your next vacation to new heights? TripAdvisor now lets you book over 100,000 tours, attractions and experiences in destinations around the world, like New York. From bike tours to bus tours to breathtaking adventures, TripAdvisor makes it easy to find and book amazing things to do, so you can make your next trip monumental. Read reviews, check hotel prices, book things to do. TripAdvisor.
When you hear the words oral cancer, think about more than just your mouth. This surgery can really leave a mark on your shoulder, not to mention what it can do to your face.
You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT NOW.
The government wants to force pharmaceutical companies to show the list price of prescription drugs, in TV ads.
Ahead, why the Trump administration says this policy could lead to lower drug prices for Americans.
You're watching CBS This Morning.
This portion of CBS This Morning sponsored by Toyota. Let's go places.
Facebook says it will delete false information ahead of the midterm election. Ahead, how it's countering efforts to suppress voter turnout.
Also coming up, how scientists studying ice melt in Antarctica are responding to President Trump's assertion on 60 Minutes that many of them have a political agenda. Your local news is next.
Channel 3 early warning weather morning update.
Gonna have to change my headlines from cloudy to partly cloudy because we are starting to clear things out. It really is a lovely start. A little on the chilly side. Grab a jacket or a sweatshirt as you're heading out the door, but not too bad. Mostly sunny skies expected. And it's going to be a cool day today with temperatures in the mid to upper 50s. Some brief showers roll in tomorrow. That's associated with a cold front. And that cold front means business. There's much cooler air behind it, and daytime highs on Thursday. After a fairly comfortable day tomorrow, daytime highs on Thursday will only make it into the mid to upper 40s. Right now, Litchfield, you've dropped to 39. Ooh, that's cool. Bristol, 42. West Haven, 44. Plainfield at 42. Pretty close to the normal of 41 for the typical overnight low. All right, let's check in with your highs today. We're going to be in the mid to upper 50s. It's going to be breezy and mostly sunny. Sun was up at 7:04, sets at 6:08. And your 7-day forecast includes a chance for a sprinkle or a brief shower tomorrow afternoon or evening. And then behind that, much colder air rolls in for Thursday with a nice rebound Friday. Saturday afternoon showers. Not a big deal. Sunday looks like the better of the 2 weekend days. 7:28 is now the time. Nicole's up next with traffic.
Now, early warning pinpoint traffic, driven by your Connecticut Chevy dealer.
All right, the big traffic alert that remains out there this morning is in Holland. If you were watching us from 4:30 to 7, we were giving you live reports from the scene. 84 westbound, we have the right and center lanes still closed. That will be the case anytime between 9 and 10 a.m. is when they're expecting to reopen the lanes. This camera is right after exit 68. So once you're able to get through those delays, you'll be good. Once you enter the highway on the exit 68 on ramp, you'll be good. So for those of you who want to take 84 westbound and get stuck there, that's what's going to happen. It's going to take a little while right between exits 69 and 68. But if you do want to get around it, get right off at exit 69, take Route 74, get back on exit 68. We'll keep you posted.
Hit him with the call here.
Bow down, everybody. Foo Fighters frontman, that's Dave Grohl, invited 10-year-old Collier Cash Rule on stage in Kansas City, Missouri to jam out with the band, and they were very impressed. Turns out that Collier is a Metallica expert. He jumps into the familiar riff that opens Metallica's Enter Sandman, and after a little bit of chit-chat with Grohl, Collier then ripped out the opening lines of Welcome Home, Sanitarium. He was a hit with the crowd.
He looked comfortable on that stage, too.
How old? He's 10.
That's awesome.
That's the thing, is the playing's amazing, but it looks like he's been there for 30 years.
He's got a future, that 10-year-old.
He was not shy.
Welcome back to CBS This Morning. Here are 3 things you should know this morning. The federal budget deficit hit its highest level in 6 years in the 2018 fiscal year when it surged to $779 billion. Now, that's a $113 billion increase from the previous 12 months. The government's fiscal year runs from October through September. Lower federal tax revenue and higher government spending under President Trump contributed to the budget shortfall. The Treasury Department expects the deficit to top $1 trillion in the 2019 fiscal year.
Security researchers say an estimated 35 million U.S. voter records were found for sale on the dark web. Cybersecurity company Anomaly reports the unauthorized disclosure affects voters in 19 states. The records contain personally identifiable information and voting histories. Experts say state voter registration lists can be purchased for legitimate uses. However, malicious actors might try to use the information to disrupt elections or steal people's identities.
And the Mega Millions and Powerball jackpots have reached a combined total of nearly $1 billion. Tonight's Mega Millions drawing is for an estimated $654 million. It's the second largest in the game's history. The Powerball jackpot for Wednesday climbed to an estimated $345 million.
The FBI is taking over the search for a missing Wisconsin teenager whose parents were found dead in the family's home. An Amber Alert is in effect for 13-year-old Jamie Kloss. Police believe the only child may have been kidnapped at gunpoint. Sheriff deputies discovered the bodies of James and Denise Kloss early Monday morning. Adriana Diaz is outside the family's home in Barron, Wisconsin, where investigators are struggling to find leads. Adriana, good morning.
Good morning. When we were here late last night, police had a checkpoint set up on the road here, asking if anybody had information about what happened in the house behind me. Police say Monday around 1 a.m. they received a mostly inaudible 911 call. The only word they could make out was help. When they arrived, they found Jamie's parents dead and are now trying to find her.
When we can find a 13-year-old girl safe, that's our focus.
Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald said Monday there are no leads in the disappearance of 13-year-old Jamie Kloss and the deaths of her parents, James and Denise Kloss.
I've been doing this for over 20 years, and it's a crime scene like I've seen before, but it's one you rarely see.
Investigators were in and out of the Kloss family home Monday, removing evidence. Police say Jamie is not a suspect and may have been taken at gunpoint. The sheriff says a gun was involved in her parents' killings, but wouldn't confirm they were shot to death.
Scary. And you don't know what to expect anymore, no matter where you're at.
People in this small rural town are anxious for Jamie's safe return.
We all have kids. You know, we hope they find her.
On Facebook, Jamie's mother, Denise Kloss, shared pictures of her daughter frequently. Last year, in a post for Jamie's birthday, she wrote, "Jamie's growing up to be the sweetest and most kind-hearted girl. Love you to the moon and back."
I'm hoping and praying with God's help and the community that we all rally around each other and help find this girl and bring her home.
The Barron County Sheriff says they're using infrared technology and drones to help in their search. Police all the way in Miami say there was a potential sighting of her there yesterday in a black Ford Explorer with Wisconsin plates. They're asking anyone with information to call 911. John?
Adriana, and we hope those prayers are answered. Facebook is cracking down on the spread of false information in the final weeks before the midterm elections. The world's largest social network says it will ban fake content designed to suppress voter turnout. It comes 2 weeks after Facebook says hackers compromised 29 million accounts and stole users' personal data. Tony DeCopel shows us how Facebook says it's trying to protect the democratic process. Tony?
Facebook protecting the democratic process. I still do a double take when I hear that. Scandals involving misinformation and data misuse over the past few months have forced Facebook into all-out damage control. This latest policy change, announced only yesterday, addresses one of Facebook's most sensitive challenges: how to define false information and then remove it.
Now, this is an important election year. Not only the big U.S. midterms that are coming up, but there are major elections around the world.
In May, CEO Mark Zuckerberg pledged to prevent election interference on Facebook.
In 2016, we were slow to identify Russian interference. We didn't expect these coordinated information operations and large networks of fake accounts that we're now aware of.
To help reduce the spread of disinformation, Facebook in 2016 began prohibiting misrepresentations about the dates, locations, times, and qualifications for casting a ballot. On Monday, the company announced an extended policy to include statements about whether a ballot will be counted and misleading posts about how to vote, including false claims that voters can cast their ballots using text messaging. That hoax circulated on social media during the 2016 election, with ads instructing users to text their candidate's name to a 5-digit number.
They've seen a pattern of a lot of false statements about voting, so they've decided to take this
extra step.
Facebook has traditionally shied away from banning misinformation, says CBS News contributor and Wired editor-in-chief Nick Thompson, which is why this new policy marks a significant step for the company.
The stakes are now high. They've said they will delete false information, but now they have to define false information. And that's not easy.
The era of the Wild West in social media is coming to an end.
On Capitol Hill last month, lawmakers threatened greater scrutiny and even regulation if Facebook and other social networks failed to gain greater control of their services.
I believe Congress is going to have to act.
The 2018 election is going to be a very important moment for Facebook. If they can get through the midterms without people manipulating American democracy through the platform, it will show that they took on the problem and they handled it. But if there's another disaster, if the election gets manipulated through Facebook, it's going to just deepen the problems they already have.
Now, Facebook says it uses real people, including third-party fact-checkers, to review content that is flagged as potentially involving voter suppression. The company also says it set up a dedicated reporting channel for state election authorities to also review content. Facebook safeguarding democracy, we hope.
Well, then there's this story that's on the front page of the New York Times today, which is pretty stunning to read if you care about what happened in Myanmar and Burma and the mass genocide, religious genocide. Essentially, it was a propaganda machine that was carried out by a number of the senior Myanmar military leaders, inciting violence against Muslims there. And as we know what that led to there, that was a propaganda campaign. How does this go through without anybody noticing that it's happening?
It's a very fine line. You have a private company entrusted with drawing a line between free and open expression and what is excluded speech, and how to do that, and do we want them to be doing that?
That's right, and also try to adjudicate some of these debates. People are going to think something you've taken out because it's fake news is actually real news, which opens up a whole other can of worms.
But 2 years ago, Facebook said this wasn't a problem. Now they're acknowledging it.
All right. Tony, thanks so much. And Thursday, Facebook's head of cybersecurity, Nathaniel Gleischer, will be in Studio 57 to talk about election security and the recent data breaches.
It'll be timely. The federal government wants pharmaceutical companies to disclose drug prices in TV ads ahead. How the drug industry is now fighting back and why some companies argue the proposal could prevent patients from seeking medical care. We'll be right back.
A battle over making drug prices more transparent for consumers is escalating between the federal government and the pharmaceutical industry. Health officials want drug ads that appear on TV to include the list price of the medications. The new proposal would apply to all brand name drugs covered by Medicare and Medicaid, which is most prescription medicines. Chip Reed is outside the Department of Health and Human Services in Washington with what this could mean for patients. Chip, good morning.
Well, good morning. For millions of Americans who pay for their prescription drugs mostly out of pocket, the toughest pill to swallow is the cost. So now the Trump administration is taking a bold move. They want to require drug companies to put the prices of their drugs right on the TV screen.
What should my jack-o'-lantern face be?
Little Elijah, just 5, needs a drug with a big price tag, nearly $300,000 a year. Living with a life-threatening condition, Elijah was just 3 when he landed in the hospital.
He was screaming, "Mommy, why am I here? Mommy, please take me home."
After his family couldn't, and their insurance company wouldn't, cover the cost of a key drug.
People are cutting their pills in half. They are going without food. They're being hospitalized, and they're even dying because they can't afford the prescription drugs. That happened to us, and it's happening all over the country.
President Trump has said drug companies are getting away with murder.
One of my greatest priorities is to reduce the price of prescription drugs.
I've always looked forward to what's next.
Now the Trump administration wants to add to these ads, forcing drug makers to put right on the screen the price patients could pay for a 30-day supply. But drug companies have another idea.
We're concerned that if you just have the list price in isolation in the ad, it may deter patients from seeking needed care.
Instead, offering to point patients to websites listing each drug's price, estimated out-of-pocket costs, and any available discounts. The industry is meeting surprise resistance from President Trump's Health and Human Services Secretary, Alex Azar, a former drug company executive.
But placing information on a website is not the same as putting it right in an ad.
We think our approach is the better way.
Better for consumers.
Yes.
Do you think you're going to be able to convince Secretary Azar of that and, more importantly, President Trump?
I hope so.
But already families like Elijah's say it's not enough.
Listing the drug price in direct-to-consumer advertising is not going to lower drug prices.
Elijah's mother was so frustrated over the cost of his drugs that she moved her family of 4 here to Washington to advocate for affordable drugs. And she just got some good news. Her drug company, her insurance company, is going to pick up the cost of a drug for Elijah that would have cost $250,000 a year out of pocket. Nora?
All right, Chip, thank you. Well, that lobbying has paid off. But the question is, why are they fighting the transparency? I mean, everything I've learned about my reporting is the essentially middlemen and middle women that are in between what the cost of a drug is, and then by the time it gets to you from your doctor and your pharmacy through the pharmacy benefit managers, there's a lot of middle people in between there.
Not car makers have to do it, so why shouldn't drug
car
companies
makers?
do
Yeah, yeah. All right, the royal parents-to-be are turning on the charm in Australia this morning. Ahead, we're in Sydney with why Prince Harry and Meghan are touring a country that may rethink its historical ties to the British monarchy. But first, it's 7:46, time to check your local weather.
Hi, everybody. A cooler day than yesterday. Temperatures are going to be in the mid to upper 50s under bright golden sunshine. I know we're starting off with a little bit of cloud coverage out there, but that cloud coverage will make a departure, and we will be left with breezy conditions and mostly sunny skies. The sun is up at 7:04. Sun sets at 6:08. Tomorrow, just a sprinkle or maybe a brief shower in the afternoon, and then the temperatures really take a nosedive. 48 for the high on Thursday, but rebound nicely for Friday. Chance for showers on Saturday afternoon. Sunday looks good. Have a great day, everyone.
Portion of CBS This Morning sponsored by Alka-Seltzer Plus Power Max Gels.
Welcome back to CBS This Morning. Here's a look at some of this morning's headlines from around the globe today. North Carolina's News and Record reports the FBI and Homeland Security are investigating a sophisticated ransomware attack on a North Carolina water utility. The internal computer system and personal computers of the Onslow Water and Sewer Authority were targeted on October 4th.
Time reports USA gymnast Aly Raisman has joined the criticism against the new interim head of USA Gymnastics. Mary Bono had worked for a law firm that had represented USA Gymnastics in its initial investigation of team Dr. Larry Nassar. On Twitter, Raisman said the law firm was told in 2015 about abuse allegations against Nassar, but Nassar continued to abuse children for 13 months. Yesterday, teammate Simone Biles criticized Bono for an apparent anti-Nike tweet after the company made Colin Kaepernick the face of its new ad campaign last month. Bono did not immediately comment about Raisman's tweet, but said she regretted the anti-Nike post.
And Britain's Guardian reports on trouble brewing for beer drinkers. A global study says climate change will cause a dramatic beer shortage. The research published in the journal Natural Plants says drought and extreme heat waves could bring barley production down as much as 17% in the next 80 years. Barley is a key ingredient in beer. That means average beer prices, get this, could double.
Ahead, an American pastor who was just freed after 2 years detention in Turkey will join us in the studio. We'll be back right after the break.
Channel 3 early warning weather morning update.
All right, I've changed those headlines from mostly cloudy to partly cloudy, and soon it'll be mostly clear because we are expecting a lovely day of weather. Mostly sunny and cool today. Temperatures will be in the mid to upper 50s. This is a classic fall day, ladies and gentlemen. You know, it's so rare that we get a beautiful day like this. We'll see a couple of clouds building in the afternoon, but, you know, for the most part, it is just going to be mostly sunny and just really delightful with comfortable temperatures and low humidity. Some brief showers roll in tomorrow. They're associated with a cold front, and that cold front means business. So while today we're in the mid to upper 50s, and tomorrow we're also in the mid to upper 50s, we've got some chilly nights coming up, Wednesday into Thursday and Thursday into Friday. You're going to see a heavy frost in parts of the state those mornings due to the fact that temperatures dropping into the low to mid 30s. Thursday, a high of only 48. We rebound Friday, a chance for some shower activity Saturday afternoon and evening. Not a washout, but Sunday is looking like the better of the 2 weekend days. 7:58, Nicole's up next.
Now, early warning pinpoint traffic, driven by your Connecticut Chevy dealer.
All right, good morning, everyone. You were taking a look at the mess that was left after a major tractor-trailer fire that took place earlier this morning. This was right on 84 westbound, right between exits 69 and 68. Well, we have 2 lanes still closed at this time, so we are tracking some delays, of course. If you want to get around this mess and the delays, you can always get right off at exit 69 and then follow Route 74, which is Tolland Stage Road, and you can connect back on right at exit 68. But we will continue to keep you posted, not only with what's going on here back in the studio, but also with the Channel 3 app. It's very helpful for you and very handy. You can see the maps that I'm seeing before you leave the house. That's your Connecticut Chevy Pinpoint Traffic Report. Have a great day.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, October 16, 2018, and welcome back to CBS This Morning. Saudi Arabian officials are changing their story about Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi. Ahead, what our sources are now saying about his disappearance. Plus, we talk with a Wall Street Journal columnist who says dads need to talk with their teenage sons about sex and consent. But first, here's today's eye-opener at 8. Saudi Arabia is getting ready to change its story about the disappearance of a Washington Post columnist in Turkey.
Sources tell CBS Saudi leaders are preparing to admit to the accidental killing of Jamal Khashoggi.
How plausible is this interrogation gone wrong narrative in the Saudis?
If you're going to say that you authorized the interrogation and potential snatch, once you've authorized that, you have responsibility if anything goes wrong.
The president's visit here yesterday was a signal to many that they have not been forgotten.
The campaign-style video seeks to directly address questions about her Native American heritage. It's a controversy that's dogged Warren ever since she first ran for the Senate.
What's the percentage? 1/1,000?
I don't know.
Paul Allen was much more than a titan in the tech world. He gave more than $1 billion to charity.
A sheriff's deputy in California lured an enormous runaway pig back to its pen by making a trail of Doritos in the streets. Now, here's the real question. Are these cheese Doritos or Cool Ranch? Because if we're talking about several blocks worth of free Cool Ranch chips in the street, I'm telling you, that pig's in for some serious competition.
Cool Ranch that good, guys?
Yes.
Pretty good, yeah.
Is it pretty good?
Yes.
Okay. I still like the regulars. I'm Gail King with Bianca Goladriga, Nora O'Donnell, and John Dickerson. We are all here. Sources tell CBS News Saudi Arabia's government is prepared to say that Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi was in fact killed during an interrogation gone wrong. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo asked top Saudi leaders this morning about Khashoggi's disappearance and alleged murder.
Khashoggi was last seen entering the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, Turkey 2 weeks ago. Holly Williams is outside that consulate where Turkish police have finished an unprecedented search. Holly, good morning.
Good morning. Sources tell CBS News that Saudi leaders are preparing to admit to the accidental killing of Jamal Khashoggi, despite previously denying that they had harmed him or even knew of his whereabouts. Turkish investigators were finally allowed to search the Saudi consulate here in Istanbul last night, spending around 8 hours there. Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said today that they are looking into toxic materials inside the building. Turkish officials, speaking anonymously, have already told journalists they believe Khashoggi was killed inside the consulate. Saudi Arabia has so far denied all involvement, this weekend calling the allegations baseless and lies. The question now is how much damage this will do to Saudi Arabia, an oil-rich, ultra-conservative Islamic kingdom and a key U.S. ally in the Middle East. Sanctions are being discussed in Washington. President Trump has threatened severe punishment, but he's also said that he does not want the U.S. to cancel lucrative military contracts with Saudi Arabia. Nora.
All right, there is much more to this story. Holly Williams in Istanbul, thank you. 6 days after Hurricane Michael devastated the Florida Panhandle, search and recovery crews are still looking for some people. FEMA teams have checked on thousands of homes and buildings, but it's unclear how many people are still missing. In hard-hit Mexico Beach, the number of unaccounted people is down to 3. About 140,000 homes and businesses from Florida to Virginia still have no electricity. Cell phone service is a little better, allowing people to contact loved ones and emergency services. Michael is blamed for at least 19 deaths.
President Trump and the First Lady surveyed the damage in Florida and Georgia yesterday. They handed out water bottles and spoke with stranded survivors. Mr. Trump also visited pecan, cotton, and soybean farmers who suffered, quote, generational damage when Michael wiped out their crops.
Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, have officially started their first royal tour as a married couple and parents-to-be the day after announcing their first child is on the way. They were greeted by well-wishers in Sydney, Australia. They were clearly happy to be there, but there are some Australians who question the need for the monarchy to visit their country. Jonathan Bigliotti is following the royal couple in Sydney. Jonathan, good morning.
Good morning, and one of the more popular events was right here at the Sydney Opera House. This tour is a royal duty that at moments actually felt more like a political campaign. The royal couple is touring the Commonwealth countries where the monarchy still has power, at least for now.
The royal couple's first day down under was a carefully planned charm offensive as they showered their host nation with affection.
And we also generally couldn't think of a better place to announce the upcoming baby, be it a boy or a girl. So thank you very, very much.
The mom-to-be was in a white dress made by a local Sydney designer. And what else do you do on your first day in Australia but pose with koalas? Interest was at a fever pitch by the time they descended the steps of the iconic Opera House.
Harry, how do you feel? You feel good? And this is exactly the kind of reception the royal couple was hoping for. You can see Prince Harry there, Meghan right behind me. They both look incredibly relaxed as they greet the thousands of people that have gathered here this morning.
In Australia, the Queen serves as head of state, but a recent poll shows a nation divided over whether to split ties and become a republic.
They're rock stars. They're the palace's answer to rock stars. And so
rock stars and good people, but not heads of state, says Peter Fitzsimmons, chair of the nation's Republican movement.
We think that in the 21st century, it's a tad, what's that word again, ludicrous, to maintain that Australia can do no better than to find our head of state from a family of English aristocrats.
Supporters of the royal family hope the next generation of royals will help energize the monarchy, just like Princess Diana did decades ago.
Charles needs to step aside and let the young ones take over. They've got more personality.
So you really see the next generation as being vital.
Very much so. Very much so.
And people we spoke with said they were also incredibly inspired by the royal couple, specifically with all the charity work they do, raising awareness for things like mental illness, and also the Invictus Games, which is being hosted here in Sydney later this week. Diana?
Wow, that woman wasn't holding back, saying Charles needs to step aside, has no personality.
Yeah.
But you can see how popular Harry and Meghan are there.
Exactly. That's why, aside from Mr. Cranky Pants, I think most people were really glad to see them there. And they're happy that they're married and a baby's on the way.
Yeah. And they took pictures of the koala. What more could you ask for? Jonathan Bigliotti, our thanks to you in Sydney, Australia. Well, President Trump told 60 Minutes the scientists raising concerns about climate change have a, quote, political agenda. Ahead, we introduce you to scientists on the front lines of researching the polar ice caps and find out their message from Antarctica. But first, it is 8:07. Time to check your local weather.
Hi, everybody. A cooler day than yesterday. Temperatures are going to be in the mid to upper 50s under bright golden sunshine. I know we're starting off with a little bit of cloud coverage out there, but that cloud coverage will make a departure, and we will be left with breezy conditions and mostly sunny skies. The sun is up at 7:04. Sun sets at 6:08. Tomorrow, just a sprinkle or maybe a brief shower in the afternoon, and then the temperatures really take a nosedive. 48 for the high on Thursday, but rebound nicely for Friday. Chance for showers on Saturday afternoon. Sunday looks good. Have a great day, everyone.
A once-in-500-year storm should happen every 500 years, right? Fact is, there have been 26 in the last decade. Allstate is adapting with drones to assess home damage sooner. And if a flying object damages your car, you can snap a photo and get your claim processed in hours, not days. Plus, Allstate can pay your claim in minutes. Now that you know the truth, are you in good hands?
Emerge restored, replenished, fortified. Emerge every day with Emergen-C, packed with B vitamins, electrolytes, antioxidants, plus more vitamin C than 10 oranges. Why not feel this good every day? Emerge and see.
How do you top mac and cheese? Start with 100% clean ingredients, like Vermont white cheddar. Then add bacon, barbecue chicken, or Baja blend. Catering and delivery now available. Panera, food as it should be.
We have much more news ahead. In the Me Too era, many parents struggle to discuss sex and consent with boys. Ahead, we're going to talk to Wall Street Journal reporter Elizabeth Bernstein about getting the conversation started and the special role of fathers. Plus, see how a new robot could help kids who have trouble keeping their room clean. I don't know. Maybe they should just do it themselves. All right, and we'll talk to a habits expert about how small changes can help you achieve big goals. You will love this book. It's all about getting in shape, starting good habits. You're watching CBS This Morning.
Seriously, we got a dead end job singing.
It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world.
This morning, NASA's newest satellite designed to measure ice sheets over the North and South Poles is in its permanent orbit. The advanced ICESat-2 launched last month from California. It replaces a satellite that failed in 2009. Since then, NASA has relied on Operation Icebridge, which sends planes to Antarctica from South America to study how fast ice sheets are melting. Mark Phillips went aboard for the latest installment in our Climate Diary series. He spoke to the scientists about working at a time when climate science seems to have fallen out of political favor.
Too low terrain.
The crew on these NASA flights over Antarctica hear the automatic cockpit alarm go off a lot.
Altimeter setting. Altimeter setting.
It's what happens when you convert a 50-year-old plane into an airborne lab and fly it really low over the Antarctic ice cap. But 1,500 feet is where you have to be for the lasers and radars and cameras to gather the best data they can on what the ice is doing. And what it's doing is melting at an ever quicker rate.
Are you seeing less of it? Is it moving more quickly? Is it melting more quickly?
In very general terms, all three things you just said are correct. Yeah, we are seeing, in general, less ice.
And less ice, mission scientist John Sontag says, means more rise to the world's sea levels. It's not easy being a government climate scientist these days, not when the chief executive of the government rejects or ignores your work. As President Trump confirmed again to Leslie Stahl this week on 60 Minutes.
Yeah, but what about the scientists who say it's worse than ever?
You'd have to show me the scientists because they have a very big political agenda.
Yet up here they insist they have no agenda. They let the data do the talking, and the data is not in denial.
You know, we're not politicians here. We're not policy people. We're just engineers and scientists. I don't know anything about politics, but I do know how to measure changing ice.
Which isn't to say they aren't passionate about what they do.
When I look out the window, I just see like artwork almost. It's just so beautiful.
Lynette Boisvert is a sea ice scientist who isn't here just to look out of the office window.
The better we can understand how the ice reacts with the ocean, the better we can be informed for the future of what could possibly happen with climate change.
Down here at the bottom of the world, there is no politics, there is only science. And the scientists on board can only gather their data and hope somebody's listening.
It's fact. So people can't hide from facts forever, and I think the American people understand that.
Your hope is that the science prevails.
Yeah, my hope is that the science prevails, and I think it will, because in the long path of human history, it always has.
Science and hope, 1,500 feet above the ice. For CBS This Morning, I'm Mark Phillips, over Antarctica.
All right, Mark. Despite the Me Too movement, many fathers are not talking to their sons about sex and consent. Wall Street Journal reporter Elizabeth Bernstein addresses the issue in her new column. She's in our Toyota Green Room. Hey, Elizabeth, to explain when you should have the talk and what you should say. Get ready to take some notes. I won't name names. You're watching CBS This Morning.
I've thought about it for a while.
Me Too movement fueled the national dialogue on sexual misconduct, but research shows parents may not be talking to their kids about sex and consent. A 2017 report from the Harvard Graduate School of Education found 61% of young people have not talked to their parents about being sure your partner wants to have sex and is comfortable doing so before having sex. It's a topic Wall Street Journal columnist Elizabeth Bernstein explores in her new article, How Fathers Should Talk with Their Sons About Sex in the Me Too Era. Bernstein writes about relationships in her column called Bonds. Elizabeth Bernstein, good morning.
Thanks for having me.
I'm not going to weigh in. I'm a father. I want to hear what you, I want to hear what you found from the fathers you talked to.
Well, it's very interesting. I wanted to write this article because I write on sort of sexual harassment, sex issues sometimes in my column, and a lot of fathers were writing and saying several things. One, I don't know how to talk about this, but one thing that was troubling is they were writing and saying, how do I protect my son from girls? There's so many false reports, and that just isn't true. It's just not there's not a rash of false reports where girls are accusing boys of misconduct that is not right. So I wanted to give some information to fathers and sort of shed some light on this issue.
Were you hearing that, Elizabeth, before the recent Kavanaugh conversation was in the culture?
It came up a lot with Kavanaugh. It was with the Me Too, yes. It was coming up as Me Too over the last year or two. Has come up and been a big dialogue. It was coming up, but Kavanaugh, yes, it brought it up a lot.
You say people have to talk about assault and consent because most people believe that assaults happen in the dark by a stranger that jumps out. That's why kids should know what assault means and what consent means.
Yeah, as we all grew up, that was the big issue. There was danger from diseases or AIDS, but also that the assault was going to come at you from a dark corner, a parking garage, or a street that was dark. Don't walk home alone. But that's not really also the full picture. Many assaults are somebody the person knows, the victim knows.
And this is new terrain for parents as well, because maybe in their generation, the major issues were safe sex and how to avoid contracting AIDS and sexually transmitted diseases, correct?
Exactly. So that's how we grew up. We also grew up, people, it's very uncomfortable to talk about this. Many today's fathers, their fathers didn't talk to them. And so one of the experts told me, you know, you father how you were fathered. So if you didn't learn how to have this conversation, how do we really know how to have it?
So Elizabeth, one of the things I liked about your piece too is that you didn't just explain the problem, you offered some solutions here, and there's a whole list of how actually to do this, some of the conversations that you have. Talk early and often, look for teaching moments. You also say focus on values and self-respect. That's not something new. That's been by good parents taught to kids for a long time.
All the time, and just not around this area. Again, the conversation is difficult, so to focus it in, you know, a boy should respect himself and understand I want to be the type of boy and man who respects women.
Why is it so? Go ahead. This conversation came up much in the way it did in my house when the president was boasting about sexual assault on the Access Hollywood tape, and not only the boasting about it, but then calling it locker room talk as if that made it somehow okay. Did you find that conversation and the way we talk about it, in other words, this isn't something to joke about, this isn't something that's in some protected space to talk about joking about sexual assault, did that come up much in men?
Sure, because our children are watching what's going on out there, right? And they're also watching whether we're speaking about it, whether we're talking about it. And so a lot of uncomfortable conversations had to come up. But yes, the fathers are saying, how in this era, and mothers too, how do we talk to our children? They're hearing words on TV that are coming out of our leaders' mouths. Like, how do they know? How do we know what to say to our children? It's a lot of confusion out there.
Yeah. Well, our article is starting the conversation. Elizabeth Bernstein, thank you so much.
Thank you.
An American pastor is back in the U.S. after spending 2 years detained in Turkey. Pastor Andrew Brunson is here in Studio 57 with his wife. There's more straight ahead on CBS This Morning.
Now, your Eyewitness News Morning Update.
Good morning. The time is now 8:25. Police in Naugatuck are warning parents about a suspicious car approaching kids. Police say they are looking for the driver of a blue work van with tinted windows that approached two boys at a bus stop yesterday morning. They told police they heard a male voice ask if they wanted candy. It happened in the area of New Street and Hillside Avenue. Police are now investigating. If you have any information, you're being asked to contact police. All right, here's Scott.
Temperatures are still in the mid-40s out there, which is a little cool, but but nonetheless pretty close to normal. We had some 50s along the shoreline, but those numbers have now faded away into the mid to upper 40s. So it's a little breezy out there, and look what's coming. I mean, look at the nation, how cold it is. 43 in Louisville. That's a warmer temperature compared to 37 in St. Louis and 29 in Kansas City. All of that cold air is making its way towards Connecticut, and it will be here by Thursday. We're calling for highs only in the upper 40s. So take a look at the 7-day, maybe a sprinkle or a brief shower tomorrow afternoon as a cold front arrives, and behind that cold front, much colder air for Thursday. We rebound nicely for Friday, and then Saturday afternoon, maybe a shower or a sprinkle. Not a big deal at this point. It's not going to be a washout, but there will be clouds around and a scattered shower, and then Sunday looks like the better of the 2 weekend days. 8:26, Nicole's up next.
Now, early warning pinpoint traffic, driven by your Connecticut Chevy.
All right, good morning, everyone. With a few things out there. First, we are following 2 different crashes, one in Cromwell, 91 northbound, right around exit 22, just came into the Pinpoint Traffic Center, one in East Lyme, 95 northbound, right around exit 73. And we are also tracking, of course, what's going on in Tolland, 84 westbound, the right and center lanes still remain closed right between exits 69 to 68. We'll keep you posted on the Channel 3 app. Have a great morning.
Oh, she passed. That's Chicago legal intern Ariel Williams breaking down in happy tears after learning that she passed the Illinois bar exam. The video of her reaction has been viewed more than 3.5 million times on Facebook. Williams was the first person on her mother's side to graduate from college. She went on to earn a law degree from DePaul University. Williams told our Chicago station WBBM why passing the bar is so important.
So many people in my life will go in and out of prison and not have adequate defense or couldn't afford a good attorney. I wanted to represent them. I wanted to work for them.
What a role model. Williams will officially become an attorney when she's sworn in next month. She had 2 jobs at one time, applied to 8 law schools, retook the LSATs, and then got into every single one of those 8 schools that she applied to.
Well, you can tell how much it means to her.
Yes, yeah, we're very proud of her.
Yeah. You know how much studying that takes not only to get into law school, then, you know, pass the LSATs, then pass the bar. Good for her.
Yes.
Well deserved.
Yeah. May it be contagious. Welcome back to CBS This Morning. Right now, it's time to show you some of this morning's headlines. The Bangor Daily News reports a letter that claimed to be contaminated with ricin was sent yesterday to the home of Republican Senator Susan Collins in Bangor, Maine. A hazmat team investigated her house. Preliminary tests indicated that there was no threat to the public or to the senator. Collins has been the target of attacks before and since she cast a vote this month to confirm Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court.
The Washington Post reports on what scientists call a hyper-alarming study that shows a massive decline in the insect population. Research shows in the past 35 years, the number of insects, such as beetles and bees, has decreased by 45%. 1/3 of the world's plant crops need insect pollination. The study published in the journal PNAS also says the population of insect-eating frogs and birds could plummet as a result.
USA Today looks at the 132-year legacy of Sears. The retailer filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection yesterday. In 1927, Sears began selling the first Kenmore washing machine. Remember the avocado model in green? Who didn't like that one? No. We had one of those in 2002. It acquired the Lands' End Clothing Company. Sears created Allstate Insurance, which began offering auto insurance back in 1931. And the Sears Tower, once the nation's tallest building, served as the retailer's headquarters.
And the Wall Street Journal reports on a robot that can do what many kids cannot or won't clean their rooms. The Japanese startup Preferred Network showed off a robot that can pick up toys and clothes from the floor and put them in their proper places. The company also plans to sell robots that can put dirty plates in the dishwasher. No word on when the household helpers will be available. Soon they'll be making robots who can do the parenting, apparently, as well.
We're not giving up that job.
I know.
An American pastor detained in Turkey for 2 years is beginning to readjust to life back here in the United States. Pastor Andrew Brunson was charged with espionage and links to a terrorist organization in 2016. The indictment against the pastor says he worked to convert Kurds to Christianity in order to sow discord in Turkey. He denies any wrongdoing. A Turkish court sentenced him to prison on Friday, but released him on time served. Brunson lived in Turkey for more than 20 years and oversaw a Presbyterian church. President Trump welcomed him to the White House over the weekend, just after his return. Pastor Brunson joins us with his wife, Noreen, at the table. We're so glad you're here, so glad you're safe.
Welcome home. Thank you.
Welcome home indeed. So you all had gone to fill out some paperwork, and you were arrested and told what?
We were told we were a threat to national security and would be deported, but then we waited to be deported, and they didn't. And eventually, well, they kept me for 2 years.
And what were you thinking, Andrew, when you're told you're a threat to national security? What were you doing there?
Well, we were very shocked because we had spent 23 years working very openly, telling people about Jesus, helping refugees, things like that. So we hadn't done anything that would harm national security. We were just telling people about Jesus.
Did you ever think what you were doing would land you in prison, that it was dangerous?
Not that it would land us in prison. We're the first ones who've experienced that in Turkey in a long time.
And Noreen, what were they telling you?
Same thing. We were together. So we were arrested together and held together initially for, I was there 13 days and then released suddenly.
And after that release, though, what was that like?
A lot of uncertainty, not knowing if I could remain in the country. I wanted to stay with him until this was all done. So just a lot of difficulty, a lot of ups and downs during that time.
What did you think was happening to him? Were you all able to communicate with each other during that time? What did you think?
Very little. Very little.
So you knew he was safe?
He was moved. There were just so many question marks. What's happening? Silence. We're not told what's going on, what's going to happen.
I was very isolated in prison. I was for some time in solitary confinement, and then in another prison that was quite overcrowded. And I was
overcrowded like how?
Well, we were a cell for 8 people and had over 20 people there.
In the cell for 8?
Yes, yes. And there was very little contact with the outside, so I could see Noreen, for example, 35 minutes a week through glass, talking by phone. And so she actually is very strong and had to take me through this emotionally and spiritually. She was the only one I could receive truth from. And so when she would come in, she would encourage me, and that's what would keep me going through the next week.
Pastor Brunson, much has been written about you, and we followed your imprisonment for the past 2 years. Do you believe you were a pawn in what has been called hostage diplomacy, that the Turkish government held you as part of an effort to exchange you for another prisoner here?
Well, people have certainly written that. President Trump and also Senator Graham, Lindsey Graham, told me that. I just have the view from the cell.
Yeah.
And I think that even though whatever reason the Turkish government was holding us for, I believe that God was involved in this for us, because I think of millions of people who prayed for Turkey during that time and how God is bringing blessing out of it.
Were they interrogating you on a regular basis? Were you beaten while you were in prison? How were you treated?
No, I wasn't beaten. The problem is that I wasn't interrogated. So for the first 18 months, I didn't know why I was in prison.
Were you allowed to have a Bible?
Eventually. It took a while before I could have any books or Bible, but eventually I did have one.
Was there a passage that got you through all this?
Well, I read 2 Timothy a lot, where Paul talks about suffering and finishing the race well, and this became my prayer. I want to be faithful and endure and finish well.
And Noreen, when you heard he was getting out of prison, how did you all receive the news that it was over?
Incredibly relieved. We got on our knees in the courthouse. Didn't care what anybody thought. Yeah,
and you have
just amazing.
3 children who called Turkey home for so many years. I want to ask you about your experience coming home and meeting with the president in the Oval Office. What was the first thing he said to you?
I think he probably said, "Welcome home."
And then after
that, I don't really remember, but Noreen had actually had a dream about praying for the president before. And so she had that in her heart. So before we went to the White House, we prayed together and said, ask God to give us the opportunity to pray for the president. And we asked him if we could do it, and he said yes.
Said yes. Noreen?
No, so I had a specific dream, specific verses So when there was opportunity, I knew exactly what I was supposed to pray over him.
Now, I know you all love Turkey.
Yeah, in Isaiah 11.
You lived there for 23 years. What is your feeling about the country now? What are you thinking?
You know, we love the country. We love it. We love the people. We have dear friends there. We pray for its blessing.
But you're staying here.
We're here for now.
I don't think we can go back right now.
Yeah.
One of the most hated people in Turkey, so.
And definitely forgiveness has to be a part of this. We don't have an option not to forgive as Christians, but it is something, it's not easy. So we're working through that.
There's a big community that's welcoming you back here and glad that you're back home. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And if you have trouble sleeping, here's our next segment. Habits expert James Clear says your surroundings may be to blame. He's in our Toyota green room with how small changes in your bedroom can make a huge difference and what else you can do to tackle major goals in your life. But first, a check of your local weather.
Hi, everybody. A cooler day than yesterday. Temperatures are going to be in the mid to upper 50s under bright golden sunshine. I know we're starting off with a little bit of cloud coverage out there, but that cloud coverage will make a departure, and we will be left with breezy conditions and mostly sunny skies. The sun is up at 7:04. Sun sets at 6:08. Tomorrow, just a sprinkle or maybe a brief shower in the afternoon. And then the temperatures really take a nosedive. 48 for the high on Thursday, but rebound nicely for Friday. Chance for showers on Saturday afternoon. Sunday looks good. Have a great day, everyone.
In the meantime, I'd like to go over some proposed changes to the roommate agreement, specifically to address Penny's annoying personal habits.
Oh my God, what personal habits?
I have a list. FYI, overuse of the phrase, oh my God, is number 12.
Just like in the CBS show The Big Bang Theory, many people have habits they want to break, and probably some habits other people want us to change. To make those adjustments, habits expert James Clear says we should think small. His popular blog gets 2 million visits a month. He's also a frequent speaker at Fortune 500 companies, and his work is used by teams in the NFL, Major League Baseball, and NBA. Clear's new book is called Atomic Habits, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. James Clear, good morning.
Good morning.
Love this book.
Oh, thank you.
So to help everyone, what are Atomic Habits?
Sure. So Atomic Habits was written to be the most comprehensive guide on how to improve your habits, and I chose the phrase for 3 reasons. So the first meaning of the word atomic is tiny or small, and that's a central part of my philosophy that habits should be small and easy to do. The second meaning is that atoms are the fundamental unit in a larger system. So atoms build into molecules, molecules build into compounds, and so on. And in a sense, habits are kind of like the atoms of our lives. You know, like they're these fundamental units, these little patterns that we repeat, and over time they become more or less our daily routines. The third reason, though, is that atomic can also mean the source of immense energy or power. And I think if you add all 3 of those together, you understand the narrative arc of the book, which is that if you make changes that are small and easy to do and layer them on top of each other like units in a fundamental system, a larger system, you can get powerful results.
Okay, give a specific example of how you do that. Make a small change and pack it with something you do regularly without thinking about it.
You say a 1% change can make a difference.
Yeah, that's right. So this idea that habits are, I like to say habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. So this 1% change that you're talking about, it's kind of like, imagine you're in a plane and you're leaving Los Angeles and you're going to go to New York. I actually calculated this. If you shift the nose of the airplane just 3.5 degrees, it's like 7 or 8 feet on the runway, you barely even notice it, but you end up in Washington, D.C. instead of New York.
Right.
And habits are kind of a similar thing. You know, they're these small routines, little 1% changes, but as over time, they compound, and you can end up at a very different place based on them.
And you say if you're having trouble changing habits, it's not you, it's your system.
Yeah. That's right.
That was interesting.
Well, one of the core philosophies of the book is that we do not rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. And so often we're ambitious and set these, you know, lofty goals for ourselves, and we wonder why doesn't it work out?
Yeah.
And it's because we don't have a system behind it. We don't have the habits behind the goal.
And also because we set these massive goals and have no idea to break it down into its component habits to create that compound. So, but give us a concrete example. I mean, waking up in the morning and exercising the minute you get out of bed would be one, right? Give us little habits that people can have put in their lives that create this bigger change.
Sure. Well, I mean, based basically what you do is take whatever habit you're trying to build and then scale it down to just a small thing that you can do within a minute or 2 or 5. So, for example, if you want to read 30 books a year, scale that down to read 1 page. And then after you make your bed in the morning, you can put a book on your pillow. So the routine could be, I wake up, I make my bed, I put a book on my pillow, I take a shower. Climb in at night, and a book is waiting for you to read 1 page. Same way with, you know, I want to write a book. Scale it down to write 1 sentence. Or I'd like to become a meditator. Scale it down to meditate for 60 seconds.
And do you believe in the sort of 3 weeks of a habit actually locks it in, or do you think that's too bad?
Yeah, this is one of the most common questions that I get is like, how long does it take to build a habit?
Right.
And you'll see all kinds of things, 21 days, 30 days. There's one study that 66 days was on average about how long it took. But the honest answer to how long does it take to build a habit is forever, because once you stop doing it, it's no longer a habit. And you know, a lot of people, the implicit assumption behind that question is, how long do I need to work until it's easy? But habits are not a finish line to be crossed. They're a lifestyle to be lived. And so you need to be looking for these lifestyle changes, something you can sustain.
And you stress the importance of environment, saying that it can often matter more than motivation itself. You write in your book, environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. Explain why that's so important.
Well, so many of our habits are just a reaction to the cues that are in our environment. You know, you walk into the kitchen, you see a plate of cookies, and you eat one. You don't even have to really be hungry. You know, it's just the cue that's there.
Instead, maybe, right?
Yes, so that's a good example. I actually did that myself. We would buy apples and bananas and put them in the crisper in the fridge, and I would never see them because they were kind of tucked away. And then they go bad 2 weeks later, and we have to throw them out. And so now we keep them in a display bowl in the center of the counter.
And about sleep. We've been teasing all day about sleep, how to get better sleep. How do we make that a habit?
So in the book, I talk about these one-time actions that lead to payoffs again and again. So here are a couple examples for sleep. You can test different mattresses and then buy the one that gets the best night's sleep for you. You could purchase blackout curtains so that you sleep in a room that is dark. Same thing with like earmuffs or earplugs to be, you know, reduce noise. But then the last one, and my favorite, is you can buy what's called an outlet timer. And an outlet timer is just a little device on Amazon. It costs like $10. You plug it into the outlet, and then you plug a device into that timer. And one of the things that you can plug in is a friend of mine, Nir Eyal, who also wrote a book about habits called Hooked. He plugged his internet router into the timer, and then he set it to kill the power at 10 p.m. each night. Right? So internet's off at 10, can't watch Netflix, can't browse the web, time to go to bed.
And you say, your wife is here, we should talk to her about your habits. You say reprogramming your brain, instead of saying, I have to do something, say, I get to do something.
This is a great way to...
I get to wake up at such and such a time.
Well, so often we go through life thinking about all the responsibilities that we have, right? I have to take my kids to practice, I have to make dinner tonight. And simply reframing it and saying, I get to, helps you see the situations in your life as opportunities rather than burdens.
James, there's so much good information in here, also about your own personal story, how these habits helped you change your life. It's really important. James Clear, thank you so much. Atomic Habits is on sale now. And to complete your own habits scorecard and contract, you got to sign a contract. Visit our website at cbsthismorning.com.
A Missouri-based artist who created a unique portrait of President Trump hanging out with other Republican presidents is speaking to CBS This Morning ahead why he was surprised to see the painting in the White House when he watched 60 Minutes interview with Mr. Trump. And you can hear more of CBS This Morning, including extended interviews and original content on our podcast. Make it a habit. It's available on Apple's podcast app or wherever you like to download your podcasts. You're watching CBS This Morning.
So that last night was the first idea that we had that it was actually hanging in the White House. It was great excitement.
I'll bet it was. That was artist Andy Thomas' painting. Made headlines when it was spotted during Sunday's 60 Minutes interview with President Trump. Congressman told Thomas he would show us.
Now, your Eyewitness News morning update.
Good morning. The time is now 8:55. I-84 in Tolland is still partially shut down after a tractor trailer carrying yogurt caught fire. That fire started around midnight on the westbound side. Officials say no one was hurt, but the contents of that truck are a complete loss. The DEEP has been called in to help clean up. Well, police in Naugatuck are warning parents about a suspicious van approaching kids. Police say they are investigating a blue work van with tinted windows that approached two boys at a bus stop yesterday morning. They told police they heard a male voice ask if they wanted candy. It happened in the area of New Street and Hillside Avenue. Police are now investigating. If you have any information, you're being asked to contact them. All right, it's 8:56, and here's Scott.
All right, temperatures out there range between about 40 and 48 degrees. It is a little cool. Grab a jacket or a sweatshirt as you're heading out the door this morning. And there's a little bit of a wind out there as well. You're going to notice some much colder temperatures. Look at Kansas City at 29 degrees this morning, Chicago at 35, St. Louis at 37. Those numbers are headed in our direction by Thursday morning and Friday morning. We're talking about the possibility of a heavy frost here in the state. The winds are out of the northwest, west-northwest, anywhere from 9 to 15 miles an hour. And we do have a couple of gusts out there to 20 miles an hour, so it is still a bit breezy. As we move you through the day today, temperatures will climb into the upper 50s and low 60s along the shoreline. Mostly sunny, a really beautiful autumn day, and your 7-day forecast does include some really nice weather. Tomorrow, just a chance for a sprinkle or a shower in the afternoon, the result of a cold front that's coming through, and that cold front means business. A high of only 48 degrees on Thursday, 50 for the shoreline. Friday looks good, a little bit warmer, and Saturday a chance for showers in the afternoon. Have a great day. We'll see you for noon and better at 3. Take care.